Is there more to midlife than just getting through it? Absolutely. Welcome. I'm your host, Debbie Cunningham, jazz artist turned midlife mentor, and I'm here to say to you loud and clear, it's time for your midlife crescendo. Well, hey friends, how's everyone as we are rolling along into June? The weather here in Middle Tennessee has been fabulous this last week, only after some terrible tornadic storms the week prior. The cicadas are finally slowing down here, for which I am eternally grateful. It always makes me think of the scriptures about King Pharaoh's rebellion and God sending plagues of locusts. After having cicadas, I just can't imagine that. Anyway, we are back this week with one of our inspirational women living in crescendo. Our guest is Jennette Sockwell, who decided to pursue her dream career midlife after raising her family. She went back to school to get her master's, and in the process, she also became an author unexpectedly. But she definitely battled fear when she decided to pivot, and I think you'll be inspired by her journey and how it has changed her life. So here's my conversation with Jennette. Hey everybody, today I have with me Jennette Sockwell. She is an enthusiastic elementary school teacher who loves music and books. As a mother of 3 grown children and Nettie to 3 grandchildren, she realizes the importance of family togetherness. She is also the author of 2 children's books, It's Just Better When We Do It Together, and her second is We Love and Appreciate You. Both books are based on her own life as a child, about time spent with her grandparents. She is also a precious longtime friend of mine. Welcome, Jennette.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited that you've asked me to do this. Thank you, Debbie.
Well, as a part of our reinventing or pivoting in midlife, I really wanted to have you on because you have such an interesting story. But the first question I always ask my guests is, can you tell us something that's not on your bio?
Of course. Very odd thing that I do. I collect Christmas cookie jars. And the reason I say it's odd is that all of my close friends and family know that I do not bake. I buy the slice ready roll cookies. I mean, I might open a box, but they find it very humorous that I collect all these cookie jars. But I started when Chris and I got married. We've been married 32 years, and someone gave us a Christmas cookie jar, when we got married.
Yeah.
And so I just decided each year I would get one. So right now I have 34 cookie jars, a little extra buffer in case one breaks. But I have one for every year we've been married, is my point.
Girl, that's hilarious. I love that about you.
Because I do not cook. I'm not.
I know you do not
like
bake.
I bring the fruit plate.
Yes, she does. She does. Well, what's funny is that so now are they all Christmas? So they're all Christmas.
They're all
cookie jars.
Christmas, and I only put them out at Christmas.
Okay.
With of course, everyone in my life is like, "Isn't that a lot of work?" And yes, it's a lot of work, but I just enjoy putting them out. And now, of course, the grandkids love them. I keep a few on a little table, kind of eye level, and I do put some. Usually, it's Oreos or something in it, but for the grandkids.
I bet you do, and I know you love time spent with those grandkids. I think that's wonderful, and I love that. I collect teacups and teapots because I'm part English, and so I have these Christmas teapots, and I take them out and I put them up, and even my mom said, "Isn't that a lot of work?" I said, "Yeah, but I just love seeing them."
Me too. I mean, it's just a tradition, and it brings us joy, and It's fun.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, on Midlife Crescendo, one of our ongoing themes is pursuing dreams that maybe you put on the back burner when you were raising your kids. And you and I have known each other for a really long time.
Yes.
And you were a stay-at-home mom, right? And raised your 3 kids.
I was.
Then you had a midlife pivot. You decided to become, of all things, an elementary school teacher.
I know.
Why did you do that?
Well, when Chris and I were first married, actually the summer we got married, I did teach. And I taught at a Christian school in Murfreesboro. And so I had dipped my toe in that water. And then when we moved, we first lived in Knoxville, Tennessee. And that's when I taught music for the first time and loved that. Well, then when our daughter was born, it was just, we moved again and
Right.
to start his practice and all. And so it was just best that I stay home. It just worked out. So I was home, and then, one child turned into two, and two turned into three. And so it was just, years went by. And of course we sang at the house, and I did all the things you do, as a mom at home. But as far as going back to the classroom, when our youngest was about fourth grade, I decided I think I'm ready to do something. So I helped with their reading intervention program, and I loved that. Of course, I had volunteered, how you do PTA and all
Right.
that. But until that year, I really wasn't there every day. So I look back, and I think that it was pivotal that several people, the administrator there and several teacher friends said, you're really good at this. This is something that, the kids relate to you. And it seemed to fit into my life. And my kids were getting older. And so I decided when my daughter was about to graduate high school. I mean, it was like you said, midlife.
I remember.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I just decided, it's time that I do this. And so everyone said, well, you should get your master's. That's the only way to get paid anymore in education,
Right.
is to, get a better degree, whatever. So I thought, okay. So I went back and got my master's, and I think I was the fourth or fifth from, being the oldest in the whole program.
That's
So I was
okay.
in there with people my daughter's age, a lot of 30-year-old students coming back. But I loved it. And I think it was meant to be. I just think that was meant to be. And I just enjoy going back to school. And what I really enjoyed about it was one of my classes was all about me. And that's just a very typical way that when the school year starts, you start all about me.
Right.
You want to get to know your classroom. You want it to be a family, all that. And so the professor there made us do that. And she said, write a poem, you can write a book, you can sing a song, you have to create a poster, you create something about you, because this is
Mhm.
what you'll want your students to do.
Right.
So, of course, we all thought about it, and I wanted to write a song. I love music. Well, I'm so wordy, as you can already tell in our interview. I'm just too wordy. I couldn't fit everything I wanted to say about my childhood. It had to be about your childhood. And I
Okay.
couldn't fit it all in a song. So I just went up to her and I said, I've just gotten some card stock, and I'm just going to write a little children's book. Well, fast forward to the end of the program, and she had us all come and present. She likes
Yeah.
to, like, you pay it forward. Anyone who's entering the master's program, as you're exiting, you kind of help them along. So
Oh,
we
I
were all
see.
just sitting there, reading aloud. And when I got done, another professor came up and said, you might want to publish that. You might want to look into making that or an actual children's book. And I said, really? I mean, really? And the first thing out of my mouth, like I say to everyone, is, who has the time? Who
Right?
has the time? But I'm telling you, as my kids were, now they were all grown, either in college or graduate school after college, it was time. It was time to do that. Then, as we all know, COVID hit.
Right.
And when COVID hit, now I was already teaching at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. You were
I'd
teaching.
started teaching music, but when COVID hit, our classroom shut down. And so I became much more familiar with the online process. I was on my computer a whole lot. So answering little emails with my publisher about my book just seemed much easier than it would have been if I'd been in the
Right.
classroom every day.
Right. Exactly.
So I just feel like all of that was, when I look back, I just think, because that was in, 18, 19, 20, and then my book was published in 21, my first one. And I just feel like that was all kind of part of my path.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Well, it's interesting. And Jennette is, as you can probably tell, even over the microphone, she has a very bubbly personality, and she's absolutely wonderful with children as well as adults, but wonderful with children. She has the patience of a saint, and and just the joyful spirit of a child. And I love that about you. I love that about
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Now,
Well,
how has
my husband says I really relate well to my kindergartners. Because I teach as the music teacher, you teach all grades, but I do.
right?
He's right. I mean, we just sing, and I'm a kid at heart. I love it.
Yes. Well, I think that makes for the best teachers, personally.
You can't take
Now,
yourself too serious, for sure.
no, you cannot. You cannot. Now, tell me though, when you were making this pivot, like what were some of the feelings that you had? Like, were you just like, yeah, I'm going to go for it? Or was there hesitation? Did you feel like, I don't know about going back to school to get a master's? Tell us a little bit of that part of your journey.
I will. I was very afraid. And that surprises people that know me because they knew it was something I wanted. And
Right.
and I was prepared. I wasn't afraid of the work. Let's put it that way. I was not afraid of going back to work and doing the work. I knew I could. I mean, going back to school and doing the work. Well, I think what I was afraid of was I was working full time, and then as soon as I was done, I was pouring myself into this, graduate school program. So to me,
Okay.
I was like, how can I make time for all this? And then also, it was intimidating because, like I said, I still went in person to classes, and
Right.
I didn't do it all online. I did part online, but in the beginning, I wanted to go back and be around other teachers, that were pursuing the same thing. And that was a little intimidating because they were all, like I said, there were some in their 30s. And, we all figured out by the end. I wasn't the oldest, but I was right up there with them. And that was intimidating. But what we all figured out was we all needed each other.
Right.
The younger ones, the younger teachers that were in this, I needed them. They had the energy and they had small children at home and they were feeling bad. A lot of them would say, oh, I feel so bad that 7 o'clock at night and I'm still, about to leave my graduate class, the one night a week class. And we
Right.
were there to say, you are doing this to better your family. Don't feel bad. You can, so
Right.
I think we were all good for each other is my point. And they were very good for me because I would say, I sometimes think I might be too old for this. And they're like, no, no, we need music teachers. So I think we all just encouraged each other. But looking back, the initial meeting that I had, I made my sister go to the initial meeting with me. And and I made her meet. It was at MTSU there in Murfreesboro, and I made her go and sit with me. And I think it was just the little things. Just they hand you all the coursework, and I don't know. I just kind of needed her to be able to say, "I think we can." You just scratch off one at a time. You do one class at a time. You're going to be
Right.
fine. So yeah, I
Right.
was intimidated. I was, but once I dove in, and I love to learn. I am a good student because I love to learn. So that once I got in it, I was like, I'll definitely finish this. And it's an accomplishment because at the same time, I had a son playing college baseball. And
Right.
thank goodness his college was about an hour away from where we lived. So I didn't miss much. I'd have to show up late to a few games,
Mhm.
but I didn't miss many. And, weekends, of course, were still mine. So I could go and see him. But I didn't want to miss things. But I also knew if I'm going to do this, this is the time. You get to the point where you're like, I'm about there where I've got to do this or not.
Or not,
I think
because we have
that's
a
what happens
window
in life.
in midlife. Yeah, we have a window in midlife because everything is shifting. We talk about midlife crescendos, this all the changes in midlife, and there are body changes and everything else. There's a
Yes,
window of time where we have so much capacity because we have a lot of our energy when our kids are younger, and then or when we are younger, whether we have kids or not. Here's the thing,
true.
midlife women, even if you don't have a family in midlife, you have a changing capacity where you begin to have less energy and less ability to do things that you want to do. And that is just life reality.
It
And
is.
we have to own up to that. We have to say, I've lived all these years doing this career or raising my kids or whatever it is that you did. And then you hit midlife, 40s, early 40s, maybe even to early 50s, depending on what your situation is. But you hit the 40 to 50 years and you say to yourself, what is it that I really want to do now? Or when your last child goes off to college, all of a sudden you're not raising them anymore. They're off, they're adults. You have this window of opportunity. And so I'm always encouraging women to cultivate those dreams that they've had on the shelf for a while and go for it. Now tell me, how has
True.
your life changed after pursuing these things that you always wanted to do?
I can honestly tell you it improved my life. Now, I was a very happy person before this. I was. But the encouragement of my husband through this program, through all of this, even the writing of the books, and all, that has been so wonderful. He just took such interest and so supportive. It was just almost, I think in his eyes, I blossomed a little bit too. And that's great to see. Now, I could also throw in, you know me, I can talk for days, but I could also throw in that, he went through a little bit of a change in his job. And so
Right.
I think that's what we both clicked for each other. He had his job change a little before mine. And so I could really support him in
Right.
that. And then when it was time for me to do this, he in turn could, support me through it, encourage me. To me personally, it was just a great chance for us to grow. And of course, we've grown individually, but it has helped us grow together. And that's been so nice because we have friends, as we all know, it happens. A lot of times you get this age and you kind of turn and look and don't really like that person anymore, or you have nothing in common with that
Right.
person anymore. But yet you've raised these children together and you've been with them all these years. And so I knew something was off with us, but until we've gotten this close, I don't think I really realized what was off was we were both ready to grow a little bit. And so
Right.
thank goodness we have, and we didn't grow apart, and I think
Right.
that's a nice thing. But I think we were very well, for a wordy girl, I can't think of the word, but I think we made such an effort to grow together. I
Yes.
made such an effort to say, you can do this. You can pivot from he was a attorney and he was asked to be a judge, to be an appointed judge. And then you go a couple of more years, he's had to be elected in that position to keep it.
Right.
But
Right.
that was something that I could help with. I could
Right.
support you in this. Well, then see in turn now he is well, sure. I think we can do this. And it did bother me a little bit that we've spent all this money on these kids and now we're going to spend a little money on me to go to graduate school. That seemed a bit selfish, but he was the first to say, this will pay off. You're paid a little more in Tennessee once you have a master's. This is fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah. So many people I know have said that, women I've said that, is that when they get to this point, they almost feel a little selfish pursuing their own dreams. And I'm like, but why? You put yours aside for all these years. But I felt the same way when I did it. And my husband said, you have poured your heart and soul into our family for all these years. Now is your time to do those things.
And that's a good man. That's a good
Yes.
man. I think we're both lucky in that I think it takes a very secure man to be
Yes.
able to not, I mean, my husband has not felt threatened. I know yours hasn't. He is so
No.
proud of you. And so I think that's just a good thing. That's a real good thing. And now I find such joy in my job. I mean, I was meant to do this. And I remember doing it years and years ago. So it's nice.
Yes.
And things have changed so much with technology that teaching music now is amazing. I mean, back when I first did this, our daughter's 31. So, I mean, this is
Right.
32, 33 years ago when I did taught music. That was, you had to look through all your CDs to find a
Yeah.
song. And then you
I
had to
remember.
pull it out and look through all the CDs. This is no more. You just find that song and I can compare and contrast the lyrics to this song to this one. Just right there immediately. I mean, it's an amazing time to teach. It really
Yes.
is. And so
It's
now,
awesome.
there will be others that will argue, but aren't the behavior of the students a little worse now? Well, you know, we could talk about that. It's a whole other conversation. But I feel like
Yes.
the technology has improved our ability to teach. So I love that I'm able to do it now and find joy in it. So
Yes, and I love that too. Well, tell me, let's talk a little bit now about your books. The 2 books that
sure,
you write are from your own childhood experience. Why did you obviously, you told us about the first one and why you wrote it because it was really an assignment in your
it
master's
was.
program, but what what made you choose the topics that you did for these children's books?
Okay. Well, I was very fortunate to become a grandmother And, it just changes your life when it just changed my life. And in that process, you start thinking about what you want to leave perhaps behind. What, I don't know. I would just went down a dive, of I want to do something substantial to leave. And my own kids loved when I talked about my grandparents. My mother was an only child, and I shared her parents with no one but my sister. And so we were just, my grandparents were wonderful. That's what the first book's about. It's just better when you do it together. That is something my grandfather said to us. He would just, anytime we were doing anything, the first little book's just simple. It's about playing card games, and we would help with the dishes, and we would help in the garden, and we would help set the table. And it's any time he needed our help, he would say, "Come on, girls, it's better if you do it together. It's just better when you do it together." So that was the obvious title for the first book, because that was something I've heard my whole life. I think I thought everyone heard that growing up, like you hear the more the merrier. Until you get a certain age, you realize not everyone has this.
Right.
Not everyone had that. And what a blessing it was I had it. And so I wanted my own children and grandchildren to have it, a hard copy of this story of me and my sister with my grandparents. And so it's very simple. It is not a hard book to read, but it's just about how it doesn't take anything extravagant to make a memory. It is the simple things that make a memory. And that is why I felt so loved as a child, was doing all of this with my grandparents, and him saying all the time, it's just better when you do it together. So the first book was, just like, I told you already, with the assignment, and that just instantly came to mind, and it just flowed out of me. I was so ready to tell that. And that was, I had success with that. It was wonderful. And I really thought one book is enough. I've done it. Well, I have a sweet, sweet daddy who really introduced the whole music to my life. He is such a talented musician. And, my parents will be 82 this summer. And so they'll celebrate their 60th anniversary this summer.
Oh,
we're going to do that.
Wonderful.
They're great. They're great people. But my daddy, I was at a book event, and it was, my mother was there, and a lot of my mother's friends were there. My mother was just beaming, so proud of this book that's about her parents,
Right.
And I heard my daddy, as he's loading the books in, like, the tote to leave, loading, he was rolling at my banner, all the things you do.
Yeah.
And I heard him say to some people, she was really close to my parents too.
Oops.
So I turned to my mother and said, perhaps I should write a second book to honor Daddy's mom and dad.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I had it in me. I just really thought, now I'm really busy. I have 3 grandchildren. My time is very, very limited. I still love my job teaching. We've added on more programs at my work. We not only do like the Christmas programs and the veteran programs, and now we do a children's theater. I mean, we're busy.
Right.
But I thought, I've got to make time for this. And so I prayed about it, because, I thought, should I do this? And I did it. And it poured out a little quicker. I did not make it as long. And I included, it's the same little characters as, in the first book, me and my sister.
Yes.
But we shared my dad's parents. Right. Yes. Here's the second one. Yeah. See how similar it looks?
Yes.
It looks very similar to the first one, but it's different grandparents.
Yeah.
And I've added my cousin.
Oh, I see.
And because we shared them with my cousin. Anyway, of course, I wanted to get permission from her and all, and she was thrilled. But we wrote a song as a child and did this. This is the name of the song, is We Love and Appreciate You. And in the back of this book is the song. I'll show you.
Oh, how sweet.
And
I haven't seen the book yet.
And
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So, and that's what made this one so, I guess, I don't want to say easier, but I was ready to tell about that too. And my grandchildren are just amazed that when we were little, we would dig through a cardboard box and pull out a scarf and make a yardstick, a cane, and put on a little show for our grandparents.
We did that too.
Yeah. And my own kids are like, that's pretty neat that you did that. And then now my grandchildren, my granddaughter's 5, and she loves that. But the point of this book is, find a way to show someone you appreciate them. Just find a way. And I say it in the book. I say, draw them a picture, write them a note, sing them a song. We just had a week that we were all together, and so it gave us something to do. My grandparents did not think we should watch television all day. Now, they would take us swimming in the afternoons, but after that, we were just in the house. And so we just created this and put on this little appreciation show for them. And so that's what that book's about and I think it has resonated more with my students and other people that have bought the book, because it does teach show appreciation. And that is something, as you know, we all need more of.
Yeah. I love that. And it's just, you're just a wonderful human being. And I love how you encompass just your love of music and your love of children and your love of people in everything that you do. So
thank you.
You're very, very special.
Thank you for that.
Is there anything else that you would like to say, like before you go, about women, encouraging them to pursue their heart's desires? Maybe if they've had a career their whole life, or if they've raised children and didn't really pursue the things they wanted to pursue. Is there anything you'd like to say to women?
Yes, I would. I've thought about this because I knew, of course, this was probably going to be asked of me. And to me, it is empowering as a woman to think, in my book of life, I have had many chapters, as all women do. But my book did not end just because my children grew up. How dare they grow up on us, but it hasn't. It's you. I think the timing has to be you personal, and you have to listen. To me, I call them God winks. Listen to and I felt a nudge. I felt a complete inner nudge that I must do this. And I'm talking about going back to school.
Right.
So no matter my worries, no matter the anxiety, and, I remember wringing my hands a little bit about, can I juggle all this? Because I'm just going to spend some of our hard-earned money and do this. Can I do this? And I remember thinking, yes, you can do this. So I say, have faith in yourself. And if you have a nudge or an urge or a desire that you would like to try, a dream, this is the time to do it and just be encouraged. But I do think trust those God wink moments. And I wrote down good things take time. And it's the small steps that really matter the most.
Yeah.
To me, it was the small step of going to that meeting with my sister and saying, okay, sign me up. I'm going to go back to graduate school, and then it was the small step of answering an email. Okay. I'll consider writing this book, making it a book. And then, I had to find the illustrator, and it's small steps that when you add them up, all of a sudden it can be a big deal. It can change. It can change who you are. And I think it's very important to honor this time. Like you said, in midlife, if you have your health and you have a dream, then you can make time for it. Make time for and just count on yourself. I guess I'd bet on myself a little bit. And of course, encouragement from others matters. So I think that's what you and I are trying to do today.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I love what you said about just because your children have grown up and gone away doesn't mean your book ends. That was just one chapter or a few chapters in your book. That's excellent advice. So keep writing your story, ladies, because you are the leading lady of your own story, but you have to lead. So tell my audience where they can find you online.
Well, of course, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, but the Facebook, I created my own. It's called Children's Author Jennette Sockwell. That's how you look me up. And then I'll tell all about my books. I try to put my events and stuff. Of course, my books are on sale on Amazon, and you can just search. If you just search Jennette Sockwell, both will come up if you can't remember the names of my books. The first one is It's Just Better When You Do It Together. And the second book is We Love and Appreciate You.
That's right. And I will put all the links to her books and to her web pages in the show notes so that you can link to those and find them. Thank you so much for being our guest today, Jennette. It's been such a joy having you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm telling you, there's a proverb about sweet friendship, And I think that is you. You are such a sweet friend. Sweet friendship refreshes the soul. So thank you, Debbie, because you do that for me.
Well, I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Jennette. You know, last week we spoke with Susan Salinger, who is 81, and this week we spoke to Jennette, who is in her 50s. Both women decided to pursue things they were passionate about, and it's made all the difference in their lives. So what about you? Do you have something you are passionate about that you are feeling the nudge to pursue? Are you afraid, like Jennette, that you can't balance all your responsibilities? Or are you afraid that you'll do all that work and fail? I felt that way. I just want to encourage you, friend. To everything there is a season. And if you have something stirring in your heart, this just might be your season to pursue that passion, whether you make a career pivot or not. If you think this might be you and you feel you need a little encouragement, I have a brand new group starting, Midlife Crescendo Women. I'd love for you to join me on this journey. I will be sending out encouraging emails each week to inspire you and help you along on your own journey of pursuing your passions. It's free to join and you'll get weekly encouragement in your inbox. Just go to midlifecrescendo.com and click the link Midlife Crescendo Women and sign up. Remember, I once had a stirring in my heart, and I became a jazz recording artist at the age of 41. If I or Susan or Jennette can pursue our passions and make them a reality, so can you. I'll post the link in the show notes as well. And just for signing up, I'll send you my song about believing in your dreams called Fly. Next week on the podcast, we actually are going to be talking about fear and its effect in our lives. So be sure to subscribe wherever you listen so you don't miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in today. And remember, midlife is just a brand new season to find your passion and purpose for your grand finale. Talk next week.